today in this video, all right, we will be discussing about normative theory. I hope you still remember, okay, what we have covered before the MCO when we were still in physical class, okay. So we've only managed to cover, I think, 3 chapters, but those 3 chapters have provided the foundation for you to understand what we mean by theory in academic discipline. Okay, theory is not just an everyday assumption. Here, when we talk about theory, we're really trying to talk about how or make sense about a certain relationship. Okay, so today we're going to discuss one kind of theory, which is the normative theory. All right. But before we talk about normative theory, I want you to be able to remember, okay, what we've discussed before. Okay, I hope you can still remember these 4 major categories in communication theory. All right. So we have gone through this, we have gone through the historical development, but I am here to ask you to refresh, okay, so that you don't get lost when we talk about normative theory here. All right. So we have already gone through the historical development of communication discipline and how theory has also developed together with the discipline. All right. And we've talked about positivism. All right. What is positivism? We say that in academic studies, you cannot make assumption without giving some kind of what we call it, a strict scientific way of investigating that relationship. Okay. So, so we've already discussed that, and then we've talked about mass society. So mass society is actually none of this, okay? Mass society is mostly interpretivist. Remember mass society where we assume that media and communication, the influence is just bad, all right? But that is when we talk about the relationship of between media and audiences. But how do we theorize, okay, the purpose, okay, or the reason or the foundation of media and communication? Okay, so when we talk about that, we will refer to normative theory. Okay, what is normative theory? It's a theory that explains how a media system should be structured and operate in order to conform to or realize a set of ideal social values. Now, I want you to put your mind, okay, to understand this definition, okay, of normative theory. It's not really about explaining what happens when people watch social media, become obsessed with social media. No, right? This is what we call as a grand theory or a macro theory, a big theory. It's a theory that talks about what is the ideal way, okay, to establish media system, the ideal, the best way. All right, it's not really talking about what is the actual happenings or the reality of media. It's talking about the ideal, how media should be managed. All right, okay, so what do I mean about this? Okay, so now we will go into normative theory. All right, I hope I have not confused you because it's quite hard to just speak to the screen. Okay, so coming back to normative theory. All right, I hope that after you've watched or you've seen that table just now, where we categorize the 4 big categories of theory. All right, now we're going into normative theory. Okay, so let's go. Where is this is the one. All right, sorry for the delay. Okay, so normative theories of mass communication. Okay, so when we in this topic, what you will learn is you want to understand where is the origin, okay, or the development, the history of normative media theories. Okay, and then we will see that libertarianism, which is also a grand theory, is a philosophy, is the main idea to normative theories. Okay, so when we go through all the different components of normative theory, we will be able to understand the strength and limitations of the ideas that are brought upon this by this theory. Okay, but first, like I said just now, what is normative theory? Normative theory is the ideal assumption of how media should function or should manage. And we must always remember, like I've said in the first class, we are using the American theories, okay? Because America is where the discipline started, okay? So that is why, okay, normative theory is very much dependent on how the Americans see the media. Okay, you will see when we discuss about this theory, all right, that the Americans set the benchmark of the world's media system. Okay, so before that, when we talk about normative theory, and here we're talking about, okay, the Western, specifically the American system, okay, we must go back to the First Amendment. I think all of us are here familiar with America's First Amendment. You know, it's what they're very proud about. Okay, what makes America great. Okay, so that is what Trump is trying to do, making America great again. Okay, so the First Amendment, okay, they say this is what make America a free land, okay, a very powerful nation because of the First Amendment. So in the First Amendment, they believe that the Congress or the government, as you can see, or you can read here, okay, let me make it into a full screen. The Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, on prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, of the press, or the right of the people to peacefully gather, okay, and to petition to the government for a redress. Okay, so what does this all mean? It means, right, in America, the first thing, the first rule that binds the society is this freedom, all right, these rights. What rights? Okay, rights of individuals, okay, to establish or believe in any faith, okay, and in relation to media and communication, it is the freedom of speech, okay, the freedom of press, okay, the freedom to express. That means in America, in the land of the free, you can say whatever you want, okay, or feel whatever you want. It's up to you. All right, so this is also, as you can see now, is becoming a problem when everybody believes that they can say whatever they want. Okay, so we will discuss about that later on. So in the early years, I think we've already established this history also of America, all right, how they got their independence and how they believed, all right, that, and how they want, you have to remember again the history of America. I think we've discussed this, right, during the 16th century, when they successfully got their independence from the British, okay, they established this First Amendment where they believe, okay, as a nation, they were successful and they intend to become more successful by allowing people to really believe and have the ability to think for themselves. Okay, the free man, right? The modern man. So this is then what governs their whole way of life in the United States, okay, in politics, in what we call it, in the society, in everyday life, okay, and also in the media. They believe there should be freedom of speech and press and expression, okay. So this is the origin of the normative theories of the media. Okay, they believe this is the ideal way. The ideal way is that people must be given ultimate freedom to say whatever they want. Okay, so this idea, those people who support this idea, they are called the radical libertarianism. Okay, they have the absolute belief in libertarianism's faith in good and rational public and totally unregulated media. Now, I hope you understand this concept, okay? Radical libertarianism in itself is already a form of normative media, okay? So normative media is the name, okay? It's a name where you call the type of theory that talks about the ideal way, okay? The best way of how media should be governed or how media should be managed. And one example of a normative theory is radical libertarianism. So who adopts this radical libertarianism? Those especially Western American scholars and practitioners who truly believe in the First Amendment. Okay, so this is what I was talking about just now. So they are what we call the First Amendment absolutists. So First Amendment absolutists are those who believe in the strictest sense that media should be completely unregulated. Okay, can you follow here? All right, so in America, okay, it is believed, okay, that the media or people in general should not be controlled, okay? Because, why? Because they believe that people of the public are rational and can think for themselves, that they shouldn't limit. Because if you start to regulate the media or regulate people, they believe what would happen. Okay, this First Amendment absolutists, they believe, okay, it will lead to technocratic control. Okay, so what is technocratic control? Direct regulation of media, most often by government agency or commission. So their logic, okay, these radical libertarianists, okay, their logic in saying that the media should be totally free is that they say they don't want technocratic control. Because what would happen is somebody, okay, will be in control and somebody will misuse power, and somebody, whoever that is, okay, will create some kind of structure that will discriminate other people. Okay, so that's why they say everybody must be given the freedom. All right? Can you follow? So this is the first type of normative theory, the original one, because it was established by the American scholars and they were very much influenced by their, what we call it, politics, okay, which is talking about the First Amendment. All right. So this libertarian, radical libertarianism, okay, libertarian communication theory arose in opposition to authoritarian theory, an idea that placed all forms of communication under the control of a governing elite or authorities. Okay, remember just now, going back to the previous slides, we say that these radical libertarianists, they do not want technocratic control. Okay, why? Because we have to look again at the context. Okay, before America had their independence, they were controlled by the British. And when they were under control, they did not have the ability to develop themselves. Okay, and they were always working or being, what we call it, under the control or under the power of the British. So they don't want this. And when they finally got their independence, they want to, what we call it, conserve, okay, this type of freedom. All right, so that is why they believe in total freedom, and it's called radical libertarianism. All right, this is in total opposite of the authoritarian theory. So this authoritarian theory is a theory that says the media must be in control, must be controlled by some governing body. It may be the government, some kind of authority, somebody must control the media. Okay, this is a totally opposite in the beliefs that, you know, people are rational. Okay, authoritarian theory believe, no, people are not rational. You must control, you must educate them, you must lead them. Okay, and media can be very powerful, right? So the history of authoritarian theory, okay, the system, media system of authoritarian theory can be seen, for example, before America got their independence. Okay, so when they were under the British, they did not have any freedom. Okay, for example, although they had newspapers then, the newspapers were not really talking about the American people. The newspapers were talking about the British colonization. They're talking about British power, talking about British sentiments, British agenda, okay, and British, what we call it, propaganda in order to maintain their control over the Americans. So that's why, okay, they do not want this authoritarian theory, because when the media is being controlled by somebody, it will always be used for the benefit of that party. Okay, I hope I don't confuse you. Never mind, if you're confused, later on we can discuss in class, all right? Just remember, you have this one normative theory that talks about how media must be totally unregulated. Okay, so this theory is called libertarianism or radical libertarianism. Okay, so this theory arose, okay, was developed in response to the authoritarian theory. Right, so this authoritarian theory is a total opposite, where they believe, okay, that the media must be controlled by someone in order to make sure that the public or the audiences can be better managed. All right, so there's two extreme. All right, you have one libertarian and one authoritarian. Okay, so you have America, okay, post-independence they were libertarian. Pre-independence, when they were a colony under the British, they were practicing authoritarian theory. Okay, because they had no freedom. Okay. So libertarians argued that if individuals could be freed from the arbitrary limits on communication imposed by church and state, they would naturally follow the dictates of their conscience, seek truth, engage in public debate, and ultimately create a better life for themselves and others. Okay, so this is what they believe, all right, because they have experienced this authoritarian theory. They have experienced a media that is being controlled by the colonials. Okay, so they say it's not good. When media is controlled by the elites or a certain group, you will close the people's mind, the people's ability to think for themselves. So they say individuals should be free, okay? And in this sense, imposed by church and state, the government or religion. Because when people are free to think, to believe, okay, to understand, they will start to discuss among themselves and they get new ideas and they will naturally follow the dictates of their conscience. Okay, they're very pragmatic, they're very positive, that when people are given the freedom, they will follow the dictates of their conscience to seek truth, okay, that people will make the right decisions, okay, to create a better life for themselves and others. Okay. So this belief, okay, these radical libertarianists, okay, they truly believe in people's ability to control the freedom that they get. Okay, they use what we call a self-writing principle. The self-writing principle is in itself is a normative theory, but it is not specifically related to media. Okay, it's just a theory that tells us, okay, that when people are given the freedom, okay, to think for themselves, they will make the right decision. Okay, so this principle was introduced by John Milton, okay, one of the forefathers of the American, what we call it, thinkers, okay. He says, give me the liberty to know, to utter, and to argue freely according to conscience above all liberties. Okay, that means he doesn't want any other freedom. He wants the ability to learn and then to speak and to argue. Okay, because these forefathers, the American forefathers, believe this is how you develop. This is how human can truly reach their potential. Okay, I hope you understand that. It's very simple, really. Okay, because normative theory is talking about how media or communication. Okay, when we talk about normative theory in communication, how the media or communication should be managed. What is the best way to deal with the media? Okay, normative theory. So when we talk about the Americans, they were the first to establish this discipline. They were the first to study media, to study communication. They say, well, when we look at the media, we must first adopt this belief, okay, of libertarianism. Okay, based on this self-writing principle that people should not be controlled, that information must be free. So the media as a mode of information must be given total freedom. And they believe in this because they have experienced authoritarianism under the British colonies. Okay. And then, okay, libertarian thought on communication. Hold on, let me check. Did I okay, sorry. Still getting the hang of this thing, yeah? All right, going back to my slides. Okay, so libertarian thought on communication, okay? It's based on the self-writing principle we discussed just now, the ideas by John Milton, that Milton's belief that in a fair debate, good and truthful arguments will win over lies and deceit. Okay, do you truly believe in this? You know that if we give people freedom, they will make the right decisions? Okay, well, some people believe that. Okay, and this is what they're trying to practice in America, right? So the strength of this theory, this libertarianism is one of the examples of normative theory. All right, so you have normative, and under normative, you have one, libertarian. Okay, so the strength is that it values media freedom. It is very consistent with the US tradition. Why US? Like I said, unfortunately, we are studying the American system, the American textbooks, and the media is American. And in our line of study, media and communication, okay, we are following much of what they have provided for us, okay? So this theory values individuals, and again, this is very much in line with the American culture, okay, American way of life, okay, individuals above all else, individual rights, okay. You may say things that people don't like, okay, you may say things that may sound crazy, okay, you can be like Trump and still be the president, all right. So it does not want any form of government control. So these are the strengths. Okay, you cannot deny also these are among the reasons why the Western countries are very much well developed. Okay, because they value freedom of speech and people are not afraid to what we call it, criticize when things are wrong. Okay, especially with regard to the government. Unfortunately, of course, there are weaknesses to this theory. Okay, one, it is overly optimistic about the media. Okay, we're not talking about the people, yeah, we're talking about the media organization. Okay, the people, okay, the public, individuals probably, okay, will prefer to go for good and truthful arguments. But it doesn't mean that the media organizations or the media practitioners will offer them with this good and truthful information. Okay, and one of its weakness also is overly optimistic about individuals' ethics and rationality. Can we actually say that every individuals are rational when they are accessing the media? Okay, myself, for example, or most of us, can we truly control ourselves when we're, for example, on YouTube? You know, can we actually just watch one YouTube video? Okay, it's never one, right? Okay, you cannot. It's always trying to click to another one and another one. So that is in itself is what we call the inability to control yourself. Okay, so if we can't even control, okay, clicking on a YouTube videos, can we actually say that we have absolute control, okay, of all the information that we get from the mass media? Okay, and because they are overly optimistic about the individual's ability, all right, they then ignore that actually they need some kind of reasonable control. And then it also ignores dilemmas posed by conflicting freedoms. Okay, and you can see this, you know, as it's going on with the COVID-19 pandemic in the US, okay, where you have a nation with the highest recorded what we call it, COVID-19 cases. Okay, they have over 2-3 millions, and you have groups of people that condemns any type of control, or what we call it, they do not want to control or limit their freedom. They say they don't want to wear the mask. Okay, they don't want to stay at home because they have the individual liberties to do whatever they want. Okay, and the government cannot impose a lockdown on them. Okay, while the rest of the world is under lockdown. In America, some of the citizens say you cannot lock us down or make us stay at home because that would be against our First Amendment, forcing them to stay at home despite facing a global pandemic is actually violating their First Amendment. So it ignores these dilemmas, right? There's a dilemma. One person says, okay, I've got COVID-19, you better try to protect yourself, or another person who says, okay, doesn't care, I don't care about you having a pandemic or a COVID-19, I want to do whatever I want because it's my individual rights. Okay, so there's this dilemma when you have utter freedom. Okay, and another idea or a theory, okay, that very much relates to libertarianism, okay, that supports the idea libertarianism. So marketplace of ideas is another what we call it normative theory. Okay, so it's a subset of libertarianism. Okay, they believe, okay, no control. Why no control? Because the media should be a marketplace of ideas. Okay, so this marketplace of ideas, okay, this theory is very much what we call it, it originated from economics, okay, from the economics, you know, the marketplace. You know what's a marketplace? Like your pasar malam, like the mall that you go to, or like the night market or the wet market. You know, what do we do when we go to a market? We will see lots of products and produce, okay? So it's called a marketplace because then you can go, okay, if you want to buy tomatoes, there's 5 shops selling tomatoes. So you have the choice, okay, to choose which tomatoes you want, green tomatoes, red tomatoes, okay, whatever tomatoes. So the same thing with ideas and information. Okay, if you give people the freedom to share information, you have multitudes of information, just like the internet, just like the social media. All right. So you must give this freedom. You must allow the media to become the marketplace. When the media is the marketplace, then audiences, public, the people, okay, will get access to different types of information. Okay. So in libertarianism, the notion that all ideas should be put before the public and the public will choose the best from that marketplace. Okay. For example, again, all right, in a very controlled nation, okay, newspapers will probably be very careful and will only talk about stories that does not trigger or make the government angry, for example. Okay, but in the US, as you know, you have thousands of newspapers and they are allowed to cover about everything. There is no control. Okay, you can say good things about the president, or you can say really bad things about the president. It doesn't matter, right? Because the newspapers are given the freedom. Because the newspapers are considered the marketplace of ideas. Okay, so it's up to the public or individual to choose which ideas they like. That means instead of controlling the ideas, okay, they open up and give multitude of ideas. Okay, so this is based on the laissez-faire doctrine. Like I said, this is in economic terms. Okay, the idea that government shall allow business to operate freely and without official intrusion. Okay, laissez-faire, you know, the supply and demand. Okay, they say just like in a business, okay, it depends on supply and demand. All right, if you come up with a good product and there's a big demand for it, okay, then you will become a successful business person. But if you have a product but there's no demand, people do not want to buy your product, no matter how good your product is, it becomes useless. So the same thing with ideas and information. Okay, according to this theory, okay, if an idea, whether good or bad, depends on how it is being received by the audience. Okay, of course, ideally, we talk about good ideas, but sometimes it is really about populist ideas because it's like a marketplace, right? Okay, you have like what we call it, celebrities. Okay, you have the Kardashians. Okay, like I said, Abdul Aziz, you know the Kardashians. Okay, you don't know, you go Google them up, all right? So some people would say they're just entertainment. Some people would say they're really bad influence, okay? So who will win, all right? It appears that these Kardashians are winning and they're making a lot of money. Why? Because despite of whatever wrong ideas that they put forth, people are demanding them. People want to look at what they are doing. People want to buy their products because it's a marketplace. It's not really about argument about ethics. It's really about demand and supply. Okay, I hope you understand that. Okay. But of course, right, when we talk about marketplace of idea, okay, ideally, okay, if we are very optimistic, we say, oh, this is very good, because then we can offer people with lots of information and people can think for themselves. But unfortunately, okay, can we truly say that the media offers us all kinds of information to let us choose, right? Because, okay, some have argued that actually the media is not really a marketplace, okay? It is a marketplace, but it's not giving you different ideas. It's really giving you the same ideas, okay? Like I said just now, to give example of the Kardashians, okay? So maybe we need to Google the Kardashians, should we? All right. Never mind. Okay, Abdul Aziz, Masum, you can Google them yourselves. Okay, so later on maybe I'll add their photos here. Okay, as long hopefully they won't sue me. All right. So the Kardashians, like I said, all right, they are all about commercialism. Okay, about entertainment. Okay, why is it that they have become so popular, despite of not really providing a significant what we call it contribution lah, to society or whatsoever. Okay, it's because everywhere you look, you see them. All right. When you read the newspaper, when you watch television, or when you're on your internet, your Facebook, okay, somehow you will get acquainted with the images of the Kardashians. Okay. So when you are always exposed to the same ideas, okay, you are no longer able to differentiate between good and bad. Okay, so this is the criticism against marketplace of ideas. Okay, just like when you go shopping, right? Okay, you go shopping and then you want to buy, just say, okay, Emily wants to buy a new jacket. Okay, so she goes to Melawati Mall, right? So if you want to look for a jacket, you go to these different boutiques, right? You go to Uniqlo, you go to, where else do you go? H&M, okay, you go to, what else, huh? Because I'm not stylish, so I don't know. H&M, okay, so 4 different stores. But I believe when you go to these different stores, you will see a jacket that looks exactly the same. Okay, so although it's marketplace of ideas, okay, it's a marketplace of different stores, different shops. Most of the time, they sell you the same thing. Okay, so poor Emily, okay, will be buying a jacket that looks like what everyone else is wearing. Okay, can you understand? Okay. All right, I hope I'm not confusing Emily and Aziz, all right, talking from Kardashian to jackets, but I'm just trying to put forth the idea, okay, that while marketplace of ideas is a normative theory, okay, that is very optimistic, okay, it says that ideas, information should be free, okay, because if it is like a marketplace, then people can get exposed to different types of ideas and choose the best one. Okay, but like I said also, it has been criticized because when we talk about the media or when we talk about the marketplace, it's not always free. All right, someone is giving you some kind of idea. Okay, so the marketplace of idea is a libertarian theory. Okay, it believes in the limitations of government control. Okay, it allows in the natural fluctuations in tastes, ideals, and discourse. Put trust in the audience. Okay, so this going back to my story of the marketplace of buying a jacket, for example. Okay, why is it there's certain trend? Okay, for example, nowadays is white jacket. Is white jacket. Why is it suddenly everybody thinks white jacket is pretty? Okay, it's because there is no natural fluctuations of taste. It's because we are exposed to the same thing. Okay, I always give an example to my students, you know, the ripped jeans, where sometimes the youngsters, they wear the denim jeans, but the denim jeans is ripped, you know, koyak, there's a hole in the jeans. But they wear it and they feel proud wearing it and they think it's nice. Okay, so I ask my students, okay, do you go to H&M to specifically find a jeans that is already koyak? Okay, a ripped jeans. Okay, a jeans with a hole in it. You're paying for something that's already faulty. Okay, why do people do that? Is that rational thinking? Okay, if it's marketplace of ideas, the belief that say is a rational thinking. All right, but some people argue, no, it's not rational to go and buy ripped jeans. So why do people still buy it? Because people are no longer rational. Because they see their friends wearing it, they see the, what we call it, the celebrities wearing it. So their decisions are not based on rationality, their decisions are based on something else. And it's mostly bad decisions. Okay, so this is trying to talk about the problem with this theory. Okay. So there are the weaknesses for this theory. Okay, it mistakenly equates media content with more tangible products. Okay, because it's marketplace, they say, oh, okay, supply and demand. Okay, information on the media is just like selling jackets or selling food is the same thing. It's about supply and demand. Okay, and the weakness is they put too much trust in profit-motivated media operators. Okay, unfortunately, okay, those who provide the ideas and the information are media operators. And these media operators, they are profit making. So they need to sell ideas that benefits them, that benefits their advertisers, okay? And ignores the fact that content is accompanied by other sometimes unwanted content. Okay, like watching the Kardashian. Okay, it's entertainment, yes, but there are many other unwanted cultural values that are not suitable, especially for us in Muslim societies. So it has an overly optimistic view of audiences' media consumption skills, okay? They mistakenly assumes audience, not advertiser, is consumer. This is a powerful statement, yeah? That audience, not advertiser, is consumer. Okay, the logic of the media industry is, okay, it is the advertiser that is the consumer. You know, when we talk about the term consumer or customer is always right, so in the media industry, it's not the audiences. Audiences are not always right. It is the advertisers who are always right. Why the advertisers? Because it is the advertisers that are paying the media company. So when a media company produce content program, they are producing content that would make advertisers happy and not the audiences. And advertisers, what do they want? They want people to buy their products. So that's why if you see American media products especially, it's mostly planned or mostly designed to make us buy something. Right? When you're watching a movie, okay, when you watch Disney programs, Disney princesses is always making you buy something. Okay? Can you follow so far? Okay. And then, okay, the weakness is marketplace of idea is that the definition of good is not universal. What's good for the US is not good for us in Malaysia. What's good for men is not good for women. So it's really hard for you to find a universal good. Okay, so that's why just now we talk about there is going to be some kind of contrast. Okay. But the good thing about libertarianism, okay, it pushes journalists to become professional. Okay, can you understand? Right? Because in authoritarian countries or where the media is controlled, the journalists do not have much freedom. Okay, but if the country practices libertarianism, then the journalists have the total freedom to write about whatever they want. Okay, and these have given rise to muckrakers, for example. So who are muckrakers? Okay, muckrakers is a term used for crusading journalists who typically challenge the powerful on behalf of those less so. Okay, so in the US, we have seen many stories of journalists talking about sensitive issues, criticizing the government, criticizing the presidents, okay, or breaking, what we call it, controversial stories, okay. So the journalists are able to become, okay, to really be the protector of the public because they have the freedom to do so. So this is, in sense, is a what we call it, a positive aspect of libertarianism. Okay, so what are the example of muckrakers? There are many. Okay, for example, in the 70s, okay, they have used it. The journalists used the journalists were able to investigate and dug up information against President Nixon. Okay, it was the newspapers that brought Nixon down. Okay, I'm not going to read out the history. You can read them somewhere. Maybe you can Google it up. Or recently, the stories that broke Hollywood. Okay, maybe you have heard of, what is his name again? The producer that were involved in a lot of those sex cases. Oh my God, how can I forget his name? Weinstein, yeah, Harvey Weinstein, the Harvey Weinstein case, okay? So there was this reporter, Farrow, not Dylan Farrow, what is his name again? We can discuss this in class when we meet, okay? So he broke the story about Weinstein. Okay, so Weinstein was a very powerful media mogul. Okay, he was very powerful in Hollywood, okay, but he has a long history of what we call it sexual discrimination against many women and actresses in the industry. But because he was so powerful, nobody dared to come out, okay, and go against him until a journalist. Yes, I remember now his name. Okay, he is the son of Woody Allen. Okay, Ronan Farrow. Okay, so Ronan Farrow, you can Google him up. Okay, so he broke the story, the investigative piece against Weinstein. So he interviewed actresses that were willing to come out, and then his news article, I think it was in the New York Post or New York Times, one of it. Okay, where he questioned Weinstein. Okay, and he alleged Weinstein of all these wrongdoings. And as a snowball effect, after that, many other actresses came out, and now Weinstein is already in prison. Okay, so when the media, the journalists can become professionals, okay, when they can become muckrakers, you can see the media becoming the fourth estate. Okay, so here media is a fourth estate is also an example of a libertarian theory. Okay, you have normative theory under libertarian. Under libertarian, you have the subsets, you have the marketplace of ideas, you have muckrakers, you have the fourth estate. Okay, so like muckrakers, fourth estate, these are all ideal way of how the media, of how newspaper, how journalists should function. Okay, so these ideal beliefs can only happen if there is total freedom. So when media is given freedom, they can become the fourth estate. What do we mean by the fourth estate? So in a democratic country, okay, in a parliamentary, I don't know, okay, you have three estates, right? You have the administrative, which is the government, okay, the elected representatives. Then you have the legal estate, and the administrative, legal, and I forgot the other one. Legal is where the courts and the judges, and then you have the third one where the police, okay, and the soldiers and the army. What is it called? Political, administrative, legal estate. Is it the security estate? I can't remember the third one. Okay, what it means is that a particular country is built from these three estates. That means the government will administer the country, the legal estate will make sure, okay, that rules are being followed, that the laws are being abided, that the laws are protecting the people, okay, and then the third estate, okay, which is the army and the police, will maintain the peace and the security of the country. Okay, so generally there's three estates. Okay, but some have argued the media should be the fourth estate. Okay, why the media fourth estate? Because the media should be the watchdog of the society. The media should be powerful enough, okay, to basically do some kind of surveillance, okay, to keep guard of the other three estates. That means the media should be able to always criticize the government, criticize the legal system, inform the people about what is happening, so that the people are always in the know. Okay, so that in a free country, the people are administered by the government, but also protected by the media. Can you understand this concept of the fourth estate? All right. So this fourth estate also is a form of what we call it libertarian theory. All right. Okay, I think we will stop here. All right, I will share with you more on normative theory in the next video. Okay, so I hope that was not confusing for you and that it was clear enough for you to understand about normative theory. Okay, in sum, normative theory talks about the ideals. Okay, so there is normative theories in politics, there's normative theories in sociology. So we're talking about the normative theory in media and communication. Okay, so in media and communication, okay, the dominant theory is the libertarianism. Okay, so what is libertarianism? Like I said just now, it is the American-born, American, what we call it, based theory. The beliefs that the media should not be controlled by anyone or anybody, because people should be given the freedom to think for themselves. Okay, And under these libertarian ideas, you have these other smaller subset theories like marketplace of ideas, the fourth estate, muckrakers. Okay, so it is all based on the idea that media should be free. So in the next video, okay, I will talk about normative theories, different categories of normative theories. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum.